Red vs. Blue Season 17 Episode 3 Schrödingin has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So much like the episodes prior, we start with a bit of timeline breaking, although they are getting shorter and shorter as we progress into the season. So Donut goes to find out where Washington is. He visits General Doyle's hospital where he runs into Dr. Gray. She tells him that Wash would visit, thinking that he was shot and then saying he wasn't shot, constantly changing his story. So Gray never treated him. Wash's insurance investment made him rich, leading to a bit. It didn't actually really lead to anything meaningful. So Wash is living in two separate realities, both clashing, creating an unstable Washington. So Donut attempts to explain what's happening, and it works, leading Wash to return to his normal state. Donut continues to explain the plot, and he introduces him to Krovos. He is capable of deducing Krovos wants Donut to travel anywhere that's not the moment the paradox happened. So the plan is to prevent the paradox from ever happening in the first place. But before the two can execute their plan, Genkins black holes the gun into oblivion and skips away like a giddy little girl. To me, this was the first episode that felt like it had filler. It felt like it was buying time. Donut and Gray's scene is pretty straightforward. Donut wants to figure out what's happening to Wash, and Gray speaks of the inconsistencies with him. That's fine. But then there's this whole tangent of insurance money and investment into a company, and Wash is now rich, and why? It doesn't lead to anything. There's no greater joke, there's no punchline. It's just laugh at the concept because there's nothing else there. But probably the worst thing that happened this episode was the sound effects.
Does it have one long wing?
No!
The MLG air horn, the rim shot, it was unbelievable. It was only the two, but that is too many. Let me tell you why this is bad. It's post-production comedy. The air horn and the rim shot weren't things that happened quote-unquote in-universe. Nothing was making those sounds, they didn't exist. It's not like Caboose's gun when it shoots confetti with a party blower sound, that at least existed. This is nonsense that's added after the fact. That's the type of unfunny humor that people like me should be in charge of. The people who make YouTube poops. All that was missing was a zooming camera turn. Listen, much like a lot of things, it's not inherently bad comedy. Comedy is a very subjective thing, but it's not red versus blue comedy, and that was the problem with it. The first two episodes were killing it with the humor, the characters, and the interactions. But out of nowhere, it adds these sound effects. No, stop. Whoever did it, stop. I forbid the MLG air horn use ever again, unless you hit a disgusting no scope, but even then still probably hold off. Something else I would traditionally criticize is the show's constant need to literally explain the plot. What is happening, why it happened, how did it happen? However, if you're not aware, Red vs. Blue doesn't have the most comprehensible timeline, and Season 16 did not help. So in a way, I do definitely feel that a show shouldn't have to explain to its audience what happened and why it happened, a la Donut fixing Wash and explaining to him why it worked. But given how confused many people were and still kind of are after Season 16, having the characters literally explain something might have been the best choice, so to just not confuse them even more. So I'm conflicted as to how some things ended up being done. The thing is though, while I wasn't hot on Gray's scenes, those sound effects really dampened that moment for me. When Wash became Wash, it was back. The episode comes back around. When Wash busts out that he knows strategy, the music starts playing, you're feeling inspired, he's looking like a badass. You almost don't even care what he's saying because it just feels right. I don't even know if what he said was true. They could go back, stop the paradox from happening and fix everything, or it could very easily shatter things even more and immediately release Krovos. I don't know the rules, not really, but goddamn Wash's speech was so good. When this season gets the characters, it gets them. From what I can tell, when there is a purpose, whether it be drama or comedy, it nails the characters and it works. But when things begin to just be random, such as Wash's investment company, it falls flat and feels like it begins to drag. Anyway, theory time. What can they do? Their time portal gun is now in oblivion, and all they have left is the Everwen door. So with the gun, they were capable of going back in their own original bodies, but with the Everwen, from what I understand, they must possess the conscience of a past iteration. But I don't understand why that couldn't work just as well as using the time portal. Cause with the gun, they're just gonna stop them from saving him. But if they possess a version of themselves then, they can stop it there, can't they? Part of me believes they can do that. But then part of me thinks, well, they need to get all the reds and the blues. But then I think, do they? Is this going to be a wash and donut season? My mind is everywhere. You look at the cracks on Krovos' cell, that's my thought process right now. This episode really didn't do much. He got Wash and formed a game plan. That's pretty much all that happened. I think once Wash returned to normal, the ball got rolling and it was pretty fucking badass. But the first 2/3 to me felt incredibly slow. It seemed like they were uncertain with what to do with the comedy, so it ended up being pretty random. So this was the first episode this season for me that ended up falling short.